Just a quick disclaimer before the video starts, guys. This video is not made for experienced players. This video is very basic and to help introduce more players into the wilderness with PvP. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my 2020 Basic Wilderness Survival Guide. My name is R-Code and I am a maxed player here in Gillinor. I've spent tons of time PKing and PVMing and I definitely think I have some information that could help you out. I got the idea to make this video after witnessing a couple of my newer friends seeming to be absolutely clueless when it came to surviving out in the wilderness. If you have a friend who is scared to head out, I would recommend you send them this video and hopefully it can change their outlook. Okay, so let's talk about the basics to surviving in the wilderness. So I decided to break this down into 5 different sections. Number 1. Combo eating. What does that even mean? Well, essentially there are several different types of foods in old school RuneScape which interact with each other in unique ways. When eaten in the correct order, you can actually eat multiple food at the exact same time. Without overcomplicating it, let's break food down into 3 sections. First, we have base foods. Examples for this could be an anglerfish or shark. Secondly, we have potions. So any type of potion, a Ceradama brew or a super restore for example. And lastly, we have Krombuans, which stand alone. It's that funky starfish thing you might have seen Pkers have in their inventory. You can always eat food at the same time in these orders. Base food, potion, Krombuan. You can also just eat a base food and a potion, or just a potion and then a Krombuan. It's just important you eat in this order. If you eat a Krombuan, you will be locked out of consuming anything else until that delay is over. If you drink a potion, you will only be able to eat a Krombuan until the delay is over. The main takeaway to learn here is to really remember and practice this order. Base food, potion, Krombuan. With some of these combos, you can eat massive amounts at once. One example is Manta Ray, Brew, Krombuan. With this combo, you can eat up to 56 health in 1 game tick. The combo can also be used to eat and restore prayer at the same time, with a combo like Manta Ray, Super Restore, Krombuan. I personally think that just knowing how to properly eat is one of the most essential aspects of surviving in any PvP situation. Without combo eating, sometimes you really just can't out-eat the amount of damage a player can do to you. 2. Single combat versus multi-combat areas. Up second, I'd like to cover one of the more simple topics in this video, and that is single-way combat and multi-combat areas. In single-way combat areas, only one player or NPC can attack you at a time. This means, if a PKer tries to attack you and an NPC attacks them, they can no longer hit you. This becomes very important with many escapes, whereas in multi-combat, as many things as there are can jump on you. This is very important to know when it comes to escaping PKers in the wilderness. A great example of this could be used at the Venenatus boss. The boss lays right on the line of multi-combat and single combat. If PKers come to attack you, you can simply run east and avoid being attacked by every single one of them. This might sound very simple, but you would be amazed at the amount of people I've seen run straight south in the multi-section while my friends and I get free kills. If they would step 2 tiles to the east, it is a whole different encounter. These are the multi and single areas of the wild. Learning the lines can be practiced easily with rune-like tile markers. Just shift right-click on a tile and mark it. You'll probably notice in my videos I have these markers all over the place, and most of the time it's so I know the exact multi and single line cutoffs. Number 3. Tanking PKers. When it comes to tanking PKers, there are a couple of variables we need to take into account. Are you in a multi-combat area? If so, how many PKers are attacking you? How many supplies do you have? Etc. The most simple priority for escaping PKers in the wilderness is just teleporting out at level 30. When you are way too deep in the wild to teleport or you're teleblocked, your second priority should be heading to the nearest escape or getting a logout. Something to note, the Protect from Magic prayer halves the effects of some spells cast on you in PvP. For example, if you have Protect from Magic on, your teleblock will only last 2.5 minutes instead of 5 minutes. Because of this, I recommend to watch your freeze timer and always have Protect Magic up while running to your escape, or to keep Protect Magic up if you think you're going to be teleblocked. One of the most common ways I see people struggle to survive when a PKer attacks them is because they panic and stop using their overhead prayers properly. It's crucial if a PKer attacks you to stay calm and do your best to match your defensive overhead prayers with their attacks, and keep your health as high as you can while running. Most of these skills will improve with time and experience. You will notice the more you are put into these scenarios, the less you will panic. I promise you, if you take these key pieces of advice and practice them, you'll have a much easier time dealing with those pesky Pkers. 4. X-logging. X-logging is a term you may or may not have heard about before, but to leave it as simple as it is literally hitting X and closing out of your client. When you do this, regardless of combat, your character will log out of the game after 90 seconds from closing the client. This trick has personally saved me against a full ancestral team while risking over 30 mil, and I would have been screwed without having this in my back pocket. To X-log properly, you need to make sure your character will be safe for 90 seconds after logging out without any of your input. So topping off your health and prayer, making sure you aren't poisoned, etc. The idea is to X-log while you're in a single way combat with an NPC, so you just fight back until your character pops out of the world. This tactic can be high risk, but also essential in some situations. It's important to note, I would make sure you have auto retaliate disabled. If you do not and a Pker does get a hit on you, you will hit them back and almost guarantee yourself a death. 5. Specific escapes in regions and locations within the wilderness. Okay, and now the last thing I'm going to cover is the specific situational escapes you're going to want to keep in mind when using features of the wilderness. These will also vary based off of your completed achievement diaries you have in the wilderness and what items you have available to you. I'm going to break down the wilderness into a couple regions, being the deep wilderness, which is basically everything past the fence, the 44s, which is around the Chaos Altar, King Black Dragon, Lava Maze, and Rev area, the bosses, which is this section with Vedion, Callisto, and Venenatis, and then the shallow wilderness, which is basically everything around level 20 and below. Before I explain these escapes, I would like to mention there are many more tips and tricks out there for more specific escapes. For this video, I will keep it basic. If you want an advanced tips and tricks escape video, let me know in the comments and I could try to make that. So when in the deep wilderness, there are a few core escapes that we can look at that should always be in mind when out there. Those three, depending on your location, are the Magebank Lever, the Edgeville Lever, and the Deep Wilderness Obelisk. For the two levers, you will need a knife or slash weapon to cut open the webs to get to them. Though, when teleblocked, you cannot use any of these three escape points, so your next best option will vary. One of the best ways to escape Pkers is by using the resource area if you have coins on you, or the Elite Wilderness Diary to enter for free. Another great escape down here is if you have a lockpick on you, you can enter the Magic Axe Hut and almost always easily get an X-log to escape because of the massive amount of axes in there. In the 44s, your options are quite limited. For the most part, the best escape here is entering the King Black Dragon's lair and teleporting out to safety since it is not in the wilderness once you pull the lever. If you are teleblocked, however, it is almost always still the best escape to head down the ladder and utilize the spiders to attack the Pkers off of you. Unless it is a large team, most Pkers won't even bother to attack you down here because it is similar to the Magic Axe Hut. I'd recommend waiting out the teleblock and then pulling the lever and teleporting out. If you are far south from the KBD layer, then you could also try to run farther south to the level 30 line and teleport from there. If you are teleblocked closer to this region, you can head into the Forgotten Ceremony and run the Pkers through the Ankus and Ghosts, and they should hit the Pkers off you a ton. I would not recommend X-logging here as it can be easier for the Pkers to get on you than other areas. When looking at the bosses, they each have their own escapes, but you can have the same ideas for each of them. For Venenatis and Callisto, I would recommend always killing them in the single way combat safe spots. And for Vedion, I'd recommend learning the western safe spot that is extremely close to the level 30 line. When using the safest safe spots, you may never need to tank anyone in the first place. For Callisto and Venenatis, the primary goal is to simply teleport out at level 30 or lower. If TB'd, to run straight south until you reach Green Dragons. If you can sustain tanking one, I would pray magic to protect from Dragon Breath and wait out the teleblock. These dragons have a huge aggro rain and make it a pain for Pkers to chase you through them. For Vedion, your best option is to try to teleport out right away, but if you do get teleblocked, to head west into the single area and potentially near these zombies. Lastly, I will touch up on the shallow wilderness. As of recording for this video, the Pharaoh or Ferox Enclave has just been added to the game. If you're TB'd, you cannot enter the Enclave, so it doesn't really add any sort of new escape technique to this region, But for almost every single escape in this region, you're going to just want to be aware of your minimap and be ready to teleport out. If you do get teleblocked, your best options will be to run to single way combat and south, or just straight south. If you are near the Zamorak Mage north of Edgeville, you can teleport into the Abyss while teleblocked, giving you a closer teleport out. I really didn't want to overcomplicate this video, guys, and I know all this information for players newer to PvP can feel overwhelming. I apologize for that, but feel free to return to the video whenever and remind yourself of these strategies. Tons of time went into making this video, so I would greatly appreciate it if you guys could leave me feedback and let me know if this video helps you. Like I said earlier, if you guys want, I can make an in-depth video explaining all the specific escapes more in depth that I use in the wilderness. Just let me know down below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you have a great day.